We're talking about a prophecy of saviors, a world absolutely torn apart by war, and a mission that was shattered before it even had a chance to begin. Today, let's dive into the broken prophecy at the very heart of the Peony War. So this right here is Merope. And yeah, it's got this incredible cosmic beauty, but it's also a fallen homeland. Imagine a realm that used to exist in a fifth dimension, a state of higher consciousness, of unity. But now it's trapped in these dense, heavy energies of conflict. Its people have been manipulated, and they've forgotten their own divine nature. But, even in all that darkness, a little spark of hope appeared. The ancient beluga whales started singing a new song, a prophecy that spread across the land and literally started raising the planet's vibration. It talked about 7 saviors and a queen, and they were destined to come and finally end the war and restore the balance. A promise of heroes? That's a powerful thing, right? But what happens when that promise gets poisoned right from the very start? See, this story isn't about some glorious beginning. It's about a catastrophic event that twisted destiny itself. Okay, so who exactly were these saviors that the prophecy talked about? Let's meet the champions of light. And this is where it gets really interesting. They aren't just your average local heroes. The 7 guardians are cosmic souls, volunteers from all over the universe who were specifically called back to Merope by a higher dimensional council. So their mission isn't just about winning a war. It's about healing an entire planet's soul. And here they are. Now, the whole mission really revolves around the diamond, the future queen, Hannah. But look closely at how the team is split. In the south, you've got the healer, Bree, the record keeper, Kim, and Egypt. But up in the north, you've got Khan, the wolf, Kiniak, the prince, and Mitsuka, the bear. That's 4 of the most powerful guardians being raised right in the heart of enemy territory. And their mission? Well, it was absolutely staggering. We're talking about nothing less than planetary ascension. So their plan was basically a 5-step path to healing. It starts with politics, right? Get the rightful queen on the throne. Then you expose all the lies and corruption that are fueling this war. But after that, the next steps are all spiritual. They have to awaken the people's forgotten inner power and rebalance Karuma, which isn't really magic. It's a discipline of moral and spiritual growth. And the ultimate goal? To guide the entire world back to that higher state of being, back to the 5th dimension. Sounds like a pretty solid plan, doesn't it? A hand-picked team of cosmic champions, a clear set of goals. So where did it all go so terribly wrong? Well, here's the core conflict. On one side, you have the pure, powerful hope of the prophecy. On the other, the desperate fear of a false king. He was terrified of losing his throne, so he teamed up with this shadowy group of offworlders called the Orangpalsu. And together, they hatched a plan to make sure that prophecy would never, ever come true. And to stop it, the king did something truly unspeakable, the draconian parricide. Now, this wasn't just some random act of war, no. This was a calculated, strategic massacre designed to completely decapitate the planet's spiritual future. They specifically targeted an entire generation of parents who held the knowledge of Karuma, the very people who were meant to guide the young guardians and help them awaken. The aftermath, well, it was nothing short of catastrophic. The saviors from the prophecy were instantly twisted into something else entirely: soldiers. I mean, think about how this one single event completely derailed their destiny. Their guides were murdered, so boom, the guardians get a kind of spiritual amnesia, forgetting who they even are. Then they're taken as orphans and recruited by the enemy, brainwashed to hate the very people they were supposed to save. And all that immense trauma now acts like this deep spiritual block, preventing their awakening and turning their divine gifts into weapons for the very man who destroyed their lives. And this is where it all happened. Tottenham wasn't just a camp. It was a factory that took orphans and forged them into weapons. Millions of children, including 4 of our prophesied heroes, had their pasts completely erased and replaced with this burning loyalty to the false king. The contrast here is just staggering. Their true purpose was to heal, to awaken, to use their inner light to help the planet ascend. But their new reality is the complete opposite. They're using their incredible powers to fight for their greatest enemy, keeping the very darkness going that they were sent here to end. So you see, the prophecy wasn't just delayed or put on hold, it was completely inverted. The greatest force for light in Merope was twisted into an unconscious weapon of darkness. Which leaves us with one really fascinating question. How can these heroes possibly save a world when their minds, their memories, and even their powers have been turned against their own mission? Finding the answer to that, well, that's where the real story begins.